visit a country called Newton, you'll find lots of engines who are capable of doing all sorts of jobs. However, they don't push themselves to do jobs that they're not capable of doing, unless if another engine is there to help or teach them. Because of this, they always prefer to stick to their usual jobs, and that is what makes them really useful. One morning, Morris and Jermaine were steaming up and getting ready for the day. Well, for this week, I'm shunting trucks and coaches. And I'm guessing that you're still taking the express, Jermaine? Indeed I am. I ain't shunting lame trucks and coaches like a lame engine. Jermaine, that is really, really hurtful, mind you. Jermaine, this is really hurtful, mind you. I don't care. I'm a big, important engine. Morris was just about to reply with anger when he came up with a very cheeky idea. How about this, Jermaine? I do your jobs today, and you do mine. That way you can show me that you are a big, important engine. Alright then, little Morris. I accept your little challenge. Very well, little challenger. Then I suggest you get the express ready for me. I'll be seeing you later. Don't just sit there. Go and fetch my coaches. And Morris ran off laughing with cheekiness. Important engine coming through. That cheeky rascal. You know what? I'm gonna show him what a big engine can do, no matter what he's capable of doing. And he chuffed off to find the express coaches at Zilla Shunting Yard. At the shunting yard, it was not very busy. When Jermaine arrived, Wolf, the engine who normally works there, was quite surprised to see such a big engine like Jermaine himself arrive at the shunting yard. For a minute, he thought he was here to collect a goods train. So, Jermaine, have you come to collect the express coaches yourself? I'm telling you, that would save me a lot of time. No, I've come to fill in for Morris while he's taking the express today. Do you happen to know where the coaches are? Well, the express is just over by those trucks over there. Think you can shunt them? Of course I can. Alright, good luck. But when Jermaine saw the express coaches, he remembered something that was plainly obvious. He had no front coupling. But Jermaine wasn't worried at all. I may be a boastful engine at times, but I'm also an intelligent engine. Now all I need is a turntable. And he chugged off to find the nearest turntable. Meanwhile, at Zilla Station, Morris was waiting for the express coaches very impatiently. He had never felt so impatient in his life, and felt exactly how Jermaine would feel when Morris would dawdle about when getting the express for him. Where on earth is Jermaine with the express? He should be here by now. Gosh, I'm gonna be late. Oh, here he comes at last. Hurry up, slow coach. You know what? Here, have my express coaches, rude. And he gave Morris an extra big shunt. Morris was just too disgusted to say anything. As soon as the guard blew his whistle, Morris set it off. But the coaches were extremely heavy. Oh, come on! Important engine coming through! Can't let myself down! Morris did gain some speed, but it was nowhere close to full speed. The coaches asked if he wanted a little help, but Morris refused to have any help at all. So therefore, he strained for the rest of the journey. What a determined little engine. Hope he can do it. I'm sorry to say, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't go any quicker. And by the time a tired, exhausted, upset, and very anxious Morris pulled into Religion Station, the passengers were 3 hours late for church. The passengers then started to boo and say what a bad railway it was. Morris was horrified. He had never felt so horrible in his life. As for Jermaine, he wasn't having that much luck either, especially when he kept crashing into loads after reversing too quickly. Ugh, this is so embarrassing. Hang on, Jermaine. I'll get the breakdown crane for the 38th time. That evening, Mr. Grant came to speak to Morris and Jermaine. He was not too happy about the tobacco. Now, Morris and Jermaine, I know you two don't always get along, but betting about it is not going to solve the problem at all. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Now, Morris, for your punishment, I want you to stay in the shunting yard for a week. Darryl will fill in for your mainline services and your branch line services. And as for you, Jermaine, you'll be pulling freight trains for a week while Brianna will fill in for the express for that period. What? But sir, the express is like my only child to me. Accept your punishment, Jermaine, or else you'll be staying in the shed for a week. So Jermaine accepted his punishment, but he was so embarrassed. Oh. Well, I'm glad that you two know now that bits don't always work. Well, let's hope that this doesn't happen again in the near future. And I'm sure we all hope so too. The country of Newton has lots of engines from lots of parts of the world, and they all have different genders. But however, there's been a need for more engines of any kind to help with the railway. Mr. Grant had ordered not one, not two, but 3 new engines to come and help out on his railway, and they arrived one busy morning at the Fresh Line Harbour. This is Justin, Callum, and Bessie. Justin and Callum will be helping on Morris's branch line, while Bessie will be taking heavy goods trains with Aaron and Boris. G'day, you 3. Welcome to our country. Yeah, what Ronald said. Welcome. That's all I have to say, so welcome, yeah. Why am I surrounded by so many boys? This is so uncomfortable for me. I'm out of here. And Bessie fumed to work. Well, that was mean. Yeah, don't listen to her. She's not the nicest of all engines. We could beg it differ. Bessie was soon with Aaron and Boris, and they all headed off with a long container train. Bessie did try to enjoy the scenery, but she just couldn't stand the politeness that the male engines were giving her. Everywhere she looked, there were male engines. The only female engine that she saw was Brianna, but of course she was chatting with male engines as usual. Maybe this day will just go away if I just finish work quicker. Bessie kept on complaining and complaining, and the more she did, the slower it felt the day was going. That night, when Bessie pulled into Bloomsbury sheds, all the other engines were there, including Justin and Callum. Mr. Grant was also there. He was cross. Now, Bessie, complaining about your journey on the way here is one thing, but however, discriminating against other engines is very wrong. I cannot allow it on my railway. What are you going to do to stop me? Well, with that attitude, I'm going to take away your freight services and let Callum have the day off, so therefore, you can do his excursion run. That shuttered Bessie right up. But even so, she knew that she was going to hate tomorrow, pulling coaches as a freight diesel. The next day, Bessie came to collect Callum's excursion coaches at Dry Yeast Station, but however, she refused to accept what Mr. Grant had said and had a very naughty idea. At first, she did slow down a bit, but when she hatched her plan, she just kept at that same speed and rushed straight towards the coaches. Bessie, stop! But Bessie didn't listen. That ought to teach Mr. Grant to give me a job that I wasn't designed for. No one had been heard, and soon Justin arrived with Mr. Grant, and Justin was the one who took Bessie's tourist away. Mr. Grant's face was very red. Well, Bessie, I'd given you 2 chances, and clearly that's not enough to keep you in order. Not only you did that, but you also damaged Callum's coaches, and I am not happy with you. So therefore, you shall return to America right now, and never return. But, sir, you can't do that. I have even bigger problems back home. Well, in my opinion, you deserve to suffer from them. Now off you pop, and never return. And Bessie did just that. Her face was very red as she left the station. But in the end, just in case if she does come back, I'm sure we all hope that she had changed her attitude, especially against male engines. Liam is a very laid-back character in the country of Newland and is always willing to help out another engine in need. His most favourite job is pulling goods trains along the main line, and sometimes he pulls freight trains along Morris's branch line as well. And he has a known reputation to help out another engine in need, no matter what it takes. Literally. One morning, Mr. Grant came to see him at Golden Shine Freight Depot. He had a special for him. I want you to take some tar wagons from the tar factory to Bullrose Docks. Oh, yes, sir. I'll be there right on time. In fact, I'm on my way right now. And Liam rushed to the tar factory as quickly as he could. When Liam arrived at the factory, his tankers were ready to go. At first he didn't realize, but on the track beside him, he saw a big steam engine just sitting still. He looked very miserable, and was waiting for another engine to help him out. The steam engine stared at Liam miserably. Liam decided to ask him what was wrong. Hello? What's wrong? My cylinder is loose, and I had to take these tankers to Bullrose Docks. Is it okay if you take them for me? Liam was about to tell him that he was super busy, but however, due to him having a reputation to help others in need, he agreed. Well, if that's the case, okay then. but I have to act quick if I want to get to Bullrose Docks on time. And so it was arranged. As soon as Liam was coupled up to the steam engine's tankers, he strained as quickly as he could out of the tar factory and made his way to Bullrose Docks. But unfortunately, he wasn't on time. But thankfully, he was forgiven. The next afternoon, when Liam was on his break, he saw the steam engine again. He looked even more miserable. Hello there, what's happened now?
Well, my funnel's a little bit blocked, and I have to take these empty flatbeds to Silla's shunting yard. Could you please take them for me?
Now? Are you for real? I'm on my break.
Oh, come on, please. Just for the sake of an unwell engine.
You know what? Fine. Just for the sake of an unwell engine.
Oh, thank you. Oh, and after you've done that, could you also take my passenger service for me?
Fine, but that's it from me. You'll have to find another engine to help you from now on. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. Every time Liam ran into that same steam engine, it would always ask him to do his work.
Could you leave that here and take my express run for me, please?
Just refilling and
Can you take my coal run for me, please? The trucks are just on the siding over there. Lazy.
Shh. Quietly. Nice and steady.
Oops. Could you take some empty wagons to the end of Morris's branch line for me, please?
Each time Liam spent some time doing the steam engine's jobs, he would always run late for his own jobs, and of course he would always get into trouble. Liam started to get annoyed with his steam engine, but the steam engine didn't honestly care if he got into trouble. He was just glad that he didn't have to work, thanks to Liam. Sorry I'm late, sir. Got held up with another engine. Does it look like I care? You're 2 hours late. I am reporting this to your controller. Wish there was an easier way to play around that steam engine. That night, Liam pulled into the sheds only to find his best friend Ben there.
My Liam, you look very upset. What's up with you?
I'll tell you what's up. I've been running late every single day for the last few months, all because of some steam engine who's too lazy to do his work.
Oh, you must be talking about Robin. He's a really lazy engine. Don't listen to him.
Just then, Mr. Grant came in looking very angry with Liam, and before he could say anything, Ben interrupted him and told him about the trouble that Robin's been giving Liam. Oh, so I see. So that's why he was late for the past few months. Well, I should have known. But why is he so lazy? Aren't steam engines like him always willing to do work? Well, I should have told you this story a long time ago. But anyway, Robin was a German Class 23 steam locomotive who ran express services along the railways of Germany until he and his siblings were withdrawn from service and replaced with diesel locomotives in 1976. At first, he and his siblings just sat on sidings, silent and still, and all they could do was watch diesels run by. As the days went by one, his siblings were sent away for scrap. However, one day in 2016, the mainland managed to buy Robin for a very discounted price. Wait, you're telling me that the mainland bought Robin? Indeed they did, but however, they kept it hidden to most rail fans. Anyway, they moved him to the Queensland Railway for express business services. At first, he proved to be much more useful compared to what he was back in Germany, but as time went by, he became lazier and lazier due to him missing all the rest that he used to get when he was stored away. It eventually came to a stage where his railway directors had to threaten him to do work, but unfortunately that didn't work too much, because eventually Robin got used to all the threats that his railway directors were giving him. And that's where I came in. I bought Robin for a discounted price too, and I told the railway directors that I would not give up when it comes to making Robin work. I threatened him much better than any railway director ever could, but unfortunately that didn't last very long, because eventually Robin managed to get around all of my threats, and that's where he is today, nagging me to do all of his work while he gets to go and rest. I mean, come on, Mr. Grant, he's not even sorry for me when I get in trouble. I understand that, Liam, but you've got to understand that there are just some things in the world that just won't leave you alone, and Robin is unfortunately one of those things.
And the best thing you can do about it is to ignore him and diesel away.
Well, that's one way of putting it, Ben, but there are other ways to deal with the situation. Really? You can also come to me to help out with the situation, if he's ever annoying you, of course. Now then, tomorrow, Liam, you shall have the day off. And remember, if he ever does try to annoy you, come to me or just simply ignore him, okay? Of course, sir. Understood. The next morning, Liam had to stop at a red signal before heading off to the coastline. But unfortunately, when he stopped at that red signal, Robin, the lazy engine, was already there.
Ah, Liam, my dear friend. Mind if you take these wagons for me? They're very...
No, I'm not helping you. You don't need help, so I'm not helping you. Simple as that.
Excuse me, you're gonna help me now, because I'm not moving from this spot until you help me. I'm not even gonna move when the signal turns green.
Well then, have fun getting into trouble. And Liam headed off for the coastline. The trucks that were attached to Robin's train took what Robin said a little too seriously. What a lazy engine! Never wanted to take us out, and now is trying to break the laws of the rail. Let's teach him a lesson, boys. Pay Robin out. Pay Robin out. So even when the signal did change green, Robin did not move. His driver tried to use the controls to make him move, but it was no good. Robin refused to turn a wheel. Come on, Robin. We're gonna be late if we don't get moving. Not that you care, but still. No one knows what happened next, but for some reason, the trucks had managed to get Robin to move. And to make matters worse, he was rushing right towards Maxfield Station, which was a rail end station.
I need to stop before I crash!
His driver tried to apply the brakes, but it was too late. Luckily, no one was hurt, but Robin was completely off the rails. He was glad that he finally managed to get a rest, even if it was painful. But when Ronald delivered him to the New Den Railworks, his face completely dropped, especially when he found Mr. Grant looking angry at him. When he saw Mr. Grant's face, his ears were blowing out steam, but Robin was too ashamed to laugh. And what did Mr. Grant say to him? I'd tell you if I could, but if I did, that would ruin the end of the story. That evening, Mr. Grant came to tell Liam the news. I've permanently sent Robin back to the mainland, so therefore he'll no longer be bothering you again. Liam was relieved. No more Robin for him again. Today, Liam still helps other engines in need, but he doesn't help them constantly anymore, because he knows that everyone has to learn to do things himself once in a while. As for Robin, Mr. Grant did not recommend the mainland to scrap him, but he did tell them to turn him into a generator, so now Robin doesn't go anywhere. And I'm telling you now, Robin no longer likes staying still.
Kieran is a strong, kind, smart, and reliable custom-built tank engine. However, unlike any other tank engine, Kieran can pull heavy express coaches on his own. He often helps other engines who are in need, including Dromain. Dromain is currently pulling freight trains instead of his express coaches after his fiasco of switching jobs with Morris. Brianna is normally the engine who fills in for the express while Dromain is away. But today, Brianna was feeling unwell and had to be sent to the Newtown Railworks for repairs.
Oh, biff it, David!
Sorry! And with no other express engine available, Mr. Grant only had one option. Kieran, Brianna is feeling unwell. I want you to do the express while she's away. Yes, sir. On my way. Kieran was pleased. Pulling express coaches is his favorite job to do. When the other engines heard that Kieran was pulling the express, they were very excited, all except for Dromain. What was Mr. Grant thinking? Kieran can't pull the express at all. He'll puff with a squeak and a creak when he starts pulling it. It's not fair. This made the other engines very cross. Don't you talk about Kieran like that. He is built to pull express coaches at high speed. You know you need to show some respect to him, Dromain. But Dromain didn't listen. Pah! More like I need to tell him that he's going to fail. Before Dromain could say anything else, Matt interrupted. Here he comes! And he was right. There was Kieran happily backing down to the express coaches. Hello everyone, nice to see you all. The engines were thrilled to see Kieran. But Dromain, on the other hand, was not. His angry voice started to come out of his mouth. You're just a tiny little tank engine who can't pull express coaches. You are going to fail pulling it, you miniature engine. The other engines were shocked. They all looked down to the rails with embarrassment. But Kieran only laughed. I can tell that you had a fiasco recently. Wolf told me that you had an accident with trucks a lot of times. The other engines were very well appreciated with Kieran's sense of humor. Oh, Kieran, what will we do without your sense of humor? Why, thank you, Tim. But Dromain surveyed with anger. Oh, won't you mind your own business and wreck yourself along the way, you green lime? Kieran smiled again. Here's a little joke for you all. Reversing while going at a cheetah's speed, clickety-clack and off the track goes Dromain. All the other engines laughed as Kieran left Zilla Station, leaving a very embarrassed Dromain on the other platform. Why me? Why always me? Kieran's express journey went very well so far. He stayed on time, he didn't harm the coaches, and most of all, the passengers didn't even complain at all. In fact, they were all calling him really useful. That afternoon, Kieran was at Wrexhalltown Station and was preparing to head off to his final destination on the Saturday Express, Dry East Station, which was a terminal at the end of Morris's branch line. Soon the passengers were all on board and the guard blew his whistle. And Kieran, the custom-built express engine, headed off for Dry East Station. But just as he did, he saw Mark and Nigel roll by pulling a heavy goods train, which made him thought about Dromain. He thought that he might have hurt Dromain's feelings with his horrid joke. He was so preoccupied that he had forgotten to slow down at the point where he was supposed to. The passengers all started to tell Kieran to slow down. This made him realize that he was too close to slow down at the end of the line. Stop! Kieran's driver tried to apply the brakes, but it was too late. Kieran rushed right through the platform over the buffers, and right into the VHS and DVD store.
Luckily, no one was hurt, but some of the VHSs and DVDs were smashed, broken, and scattered all over the floor. What will Mr. Grant say? He found out soon enough when the two engines, Liam and Ben, came to the rescue. Liam helped pull the coaches away, and Ben helped Kieran back on the rails. Luckily, Kieran only had minor scratches and dents, but the shop was completely destroyed. Mr. Grant spoke severely to Kieran. Now, Kieran, although you didn't mean for this to happen, you are still to blame for the accident. You need to pay attention to what you are doing at all times when you are working. Cause remember, engines don't go shopping, and I don't run a shop. Kieran was ashamed. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Once you have been repainted and mended, I expect no more shopping from you, Kieran. Yes, sir. The news has soon spread about Kieran's accident. He was able to return to the sheds the next day, but that evening, after he was repaired from the works, all the other engines laughed, and they thought the going shopping joke was very funny. Kieran felt very embarrassed. Later that night, all the engines fell fast asleep, all except for Kieran. He was about to close his eyes when he saw Dromain backing up to the sheds from his freight work. Kieran decided to whisper him an apology. I'm sorry for pulling a mean joke on you in front of everyone. Dromain smiled. It's alright, and I'm sorry for disrespecting and underestimating you. You did well with my express coaches, despite the accident in the end. And as soon as both Kieran and Dromain fell fast asleep, they became good friends, and neither of them ever talk about going shopping.